So let's talk about the good old days. The good old days is a cliché in popular culture. It is used to reference a time considered to mean a time in the past when you believe life was better than the now moment. It is a form of nostalgia, which can reflect homesickness or yearning for long gone moments. And we're going to discuss what our spiritual teachers say about holding on to the past. What does yearning for the past mean to our peace of mind? How do we shift our focus from the good old days to the wonder-filled new days? Those good old days can be in the recent past or the distant past. As some of you may know, Graham and I are full-time RVers, which means that we sold our house and bought a motorhome in which we travel the country. What you may not know is that after 2 years, we have been in the process of buying a new motorhome. You see, each year on August 4th, Graham and I have a conversation about whether to continue on living this lifestyle. There are so many pluses. We get to see all over the USA. The nature and topography here is amazing. We meet many new people. We go where the weather feels good at specific times of the year. We don't have to mow the lawn or shovel the snow. And Mother Nature is our backyard. And of course, there are cons to this lifestyle as well. Did I say we meet many new people? There are exorbitant fees to stay on lots. You get to be up close and personal with dumping waste. Bugs don't care if you have bug-off spray, they will still bite you. Repairs are an arduous endeavor of time, money, research. Luxuries like a washer, a dryer, a dishwasher cost a fortune. And if you are caught in a serious weather event, you may find yourself huddled in the concrete bathroom facility of a campsite. Yep, that one has happened to us. So on our second anniversary, I was starting to think, wouldn't it be nice to be in a condo for 6 months? You know, have a washer, dryer, dishwasher, close the windows during a storm and not worry about being blown away. And oh, not having to think about what happens when we flush the toilet. Yeah, it's the little things. I just felt like a break would be awesome. Being in the world during the coronavirus and the wildfires out west isn't for the faint of heart. Trying to do laundry with a face mask on when other folks don't want to wear a face mask is stressful, especially since I'm in a high-risk category. Or living in 300 square feet for 2 weeks with limited exposure to outdoors because the smoke is too heavy from the wildfires. It does take its toll. Finally, we made a compromise. We figured out if we got a slightly larger motorhome that was equipped with a washer, dryer, a work area for me, and a second bathroom, I would be able to be on the road for a couple of years longer. Of course, that was a pie-in-the-sky dream because the costs for these additions are really expensive. But I kept my eye out, set my intentions, and guess what? I found what we needed at a manageable price. Yippee! Until I started to feel a little fear. Fear about how the changes could negatively impact us. Suddenly, the bus that we currently live in and that I was hoping to upgrade before more things broke down became the most reliable bus ever. I heard myself say to Graham, you know, we've never had any problems with this bus. It's been really great, very sound and reliable. Graham did a double take and started to smile. He said, oh yes, it's been reliable. You know, like the time when we were going to take the dogs out for their last evening walk and the door locked from the inside and we couldn't open the door. And I had to help him get out through the passenger window while passing the little dogs out to him. Or the time the steps broke and we had to use a step ladder to get in and out of the bus until we got the parts for him to fix it. Or how about the time it was freezing and the furnace died? And I thought to myself, yeah, except for those times. I did howl with laughter at myself. And as I gently reflected, it's human nature to resist change. This is an example of my viewing the recent past as a yearning for the good old days. Putting on those rose-tinted lenses skews my perceptions. Focusing on the good old days means I could convince myself to forgo making the change, even though that change would give us about 30% greater living space. In that moment, I became aware that I needed to free myself from this erroneous perception. I immediately took it to my Power of 8 group. This group is based on the book The Power of 8 by Lynn McTaggart, in which we set intentions and the group holds the intentions for each other. It was amazing. Being with them helped me remember my power and shifted my focus to the now moment of creation. They held the knowing that we will be joyous as we exchange our old motorhome for the new one, that everything in the new one works perfectly, it drives easily and comfortably, and we are divinely protected on our travels. I got to tell you, I got off that Zoom meeting flying high with joy and anticipation. I tell you my story because the yearning for the good old days also happens within spiritual communities. Often when a new minister comes on the scene, they are regaled with all the stories of when the community was thriving and a success. We are told of the most successful events, most successful ministers, and the most successful programs. We are bombarded by stories of the good old days. It's human nature to want the new minister to appreciate all the amazing successes that you have had in the past. It's also human nature to want to recreate those successes using the same pattern that you've already experienced. I don't know if you've heard about this author, Paul Selig. He is an intuitive and he's written 9 books of Ascended Masters teachings. And in his book, The Book of Freedom, the teachers say this about the past. The small self, you see, has a great investment in replicating the known, so that what he or she encounters is in alignment with who he or she thinks they are. And what he or she has chosen prior is what has given him or her that evidence. We realize you outside of the claims made for you or by your parents, by your history, by the culture you were born into. End quote. Basically, what the teachers are saying is that they see us in our totality, and that from our egoic awareness of self, we are invested in recreating what we know and understand from our past experiences. In our humanity, we continue to manifest past successes because there's proof from our perceptions of our experiences that this is what works and how it's done. The teachers also say this. The issue here is your definition of them through past acts or behavior that are primarily informed by your own ideas or prescriptions or intent to interpret behavior, or what you would call history, as what you want it to be. In fact, everything you see in every interaction can be interpreted in many ways. End quote. The good old days are fraught with judgments and perceptions from situations that we have made meaning of based on our past experiences. Think about a time which you were indoctrinated into the right way to perform a task. I can tell you an example from my own experience. Because of my British heritage, I was taught how to make the perfect cup of tea, and that the tea bag should be reused at least one more time before throwing it away. It wasn't until I was in my early 30s that I realized that my grandmother's reason for saving tea bags came from her experience of going through the Depression era and then struggling with poverty. She had to make what she had last. That was her past experience impacting her now moment. For over 50 years, there was no necessity for her to have to reuse the tea bag. And I give you this small example to get you to think about how many tasks, processes, or ways of showing up in the world you perform today that is based on past experiences. The ascended teachers teach us in the Book of Freedom that we are more than our human self. We are also the divine self. And they state this: now, the divine self, expressing as you, does not operate through history. But like anything else, the true self may know the consequence of past behavior and consequently direct you to new opportunities. This will only happen if you are not deciding in history what you should do or they should do or how you should be with another person. Remember this, friends. Your interpretation of any event has been informed by you through the mirror that you have held, seeking to reflect what you want to see, or given the interpretation you assume it should have. So whatever the mirror says, whatever is reflected back to you, is actually claimed in some ways through a faulty lens born in history. The example that they give is, I was ridiculed as I was as a child. Now that I am an adult, I expect to be ridiculed. And they're saying there is no ridicule except the one the man expects to see, and he will encounter it if he intends to. End quote. My friends, we are being called to be our true selves, divine and human. This means we are aware of the past while allowing for our divine nature to guide us to create from the realm of spiritual substance. Freedom comes from the now moment and making choices from love, not fear. If we make choices from fear, then we tend to constrict the energy, we tend to constrict the flow of energy. Demanding the outcome looks a specific way. Fear calls us to stay in the past and bask in past successes, or to worry about the future. Faith and love calls us to create in the now moment. Making choices from faith is an expansion of energy. It is a claim that you know God is in the now with you and affirming you. True creation can only happen in the now moment. Eckhart Tolle, in his book The Power of Now, writes this: break the old pattern of present moment denial and present moment resistance. Make it a practice to withdraw attention from the past and future whenever they are not needed. Step out of the time dimension as much as possible in everyday life. End quote. You see, fear of the unknown keeps the small self looking to the past to replicate what worked in the past. The ego is aligned to how the past successes defined or labeled itself. Now, as a community, I'm asking you to have faith in what we will create together. I'm inviting you to start knowing that we can only create anew from the energy of love and faith. I'm suggesting that you release any fears that your needs won't be met, or that what you've had in the past is what you need in the now. I see the specialness that is this community and celebrate all that you have done to get to this time. What I'm asking for is that you let go of any past hurts, past failures, past regrets, past successes, and have faith in who you have become today. In the Book of Freedom, the teachers remind us that when something is destroyed, it can be made new. When something is abandoned, it can be responded to in a rather different way. We have outgrown the need for this. We may learn in another way. We are not damning ourselves by damning our past creations. We are lifting above them in a collective agreement that we may know ourselves and our fellows in a higher way. End quote. So here's my question to you. Are you ready? Are you ready to know yourself and each other in a higher way? Well, if the answer is yes, I have some practical tips that you can apply to start you on the road to creating anew. First, catch if you hear yourself complaining in thought or speech about a person or a situation. Complaining is simply non-acceptance of what is. Be gentle and loving with yourself as you become aware of your thoughts. Second, become aware of longing for the good old days. This longing means that you are no longer in the present moment. Choose a prayer of thanksgiving for the past that brought you here. 3. Then remind yourself you have outgrown your need for the past and are open to new possibilities for your highest good. Through this practice of bringing your attention to love and faith to the present moment, you get to be in this now wonder-filled moment. You get to release any jadedness, suspicion, distrust, and embrace joy and possibilities. You get to take off those rose-tinted glasses and see the beauty around you now. You can appreciate what good is being presented to you today. You can see the love that is blessing you now. You can choose to trust what is here now is for your highest good. And let the people say, Amen. Thank you.